New students, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. YouTubers, welcome. Zoomers are all ready. YouTubers, are you there? Swali, you are posting? Yes. So today we have, I'll put my YouTube here to see the comments. Guys, happy Onam. Today is Onam Day. We had Sadhya feast. So we are going to have non-British poetry today, remember? So I have to mute the Zoomers. Otherwise, they will start making noises. And then I will share my screen. Later on, our Reshma will join us, and maybe she's here already. And we will have question answer session. Are, galti. This is, I said drama. What is this? File is correct. I have to edit it now. Unit 2 poetry. Day 4 non-British poetry. That is correct. Stupid me, making all sorts of mistakes. Okay, guys. So let us go on to talk about non-British poetry. Yesterday, we were talking about British poetry. Remember? And here today, we have post-colonial poetry, American, European, Indian, etc. Poetry is very vast, as you know. There are so many poets that are important, and in British as well as non-British literatures. So you have to be very careful about poetry, and poetry is also challenging because there might be a few textual questions. So before it is too late, start seriously looking up these sure short authors. Will you do that, guys? I hope you are doing your homework every day after the crash course. At night and next day morning, you have to spend time reading these authors. I hope you are doing this. First author is Achebe, Chinua Achebe, and other African poets. You know that many African poets are there. J.P. Clark, Wole Soyinka, many women writers, so many people wrote poetry in African literature. But luckily, all those writers are not usually asked in net. But Chinua Achebe is not only a novelist, he's also a poet, and he is widely prescribed in universities. Are you taking down, everybody, paying attention? Chinua Achebe is a Nigerian novelist, poet, professor, critic, as all of you know. He started post-colonial studies with what? With Things Fall Apart. That was in 1958. And also, he started writing poetry at this time. His writings got worldwide attention very soon, and he was awarded Man Booker International Prize. Remember his important collections? One is Another Africa. Achebe wrote an important collection, Another Africa. Are you able to see, everybody? You are not able to see again. अरे कुछ तो पंगा है इसमें, क्या है? I will share screen once again. Now you can see, can't you? No. Okay, no problem. I'll share like this only. My laptop has some setting problem, I think. Okay, I will solve it. So Chinua Achebe has written collections. Take down, if you have paper, Another Africa, Christmas in Biafra. Christmas in Biafra, important. Beware, Soul Brother, and other poems. Did you know He got Commonwealth Writers Prize, Commonwealth Poetry Prize in 1972 for Beware, Soul Brother and other poems. I will release Encyclopedia of American Literature soon. Our chief designer, creative head, got into a small accident. Now he is okay, back to normal. He has started work. So for like 1 week, work was stopped. That is why. Okay. Now, there are so many important poems by Achebe. Guys, no time for wasting. Take down everything I'm saying. I'm telling you some of the prescribed poems. One is Vultures. Then Refugee Woman and Child. Sorry, Refugee Mother and Child. All of this is about poverty, starvation, displacement, suffering. Okay. Vultures, Refugee Mother and Child, Answer. Another book, poem name is, title of the poem is Answer. An If of History. An If of History. Have you heard that one? Then Awake for Okigbo. Remember Christopher Okigbo, one poet was there. He wrote Awake for Okigbo. Those Children Are Children. These are important poems prescribed in universities. One day they will ask you these poems. So remember. Hello, Muhammad Imran. I am so happy when Pakistani students attend our lecture and videos. I hope that our videos will lead to a lot of solidarity and friendship between our countries, isn't it? It is amazing. Okay, did you get all the poems, everyone? Chinua Achebe's poems. They might ask you, match the following. You might have to know the titles. You might have to know briefly what is the theme also. But I think the question will be easy only. If you know the title itself, you will be able to get it. New students, don't panic. I'm only showing you everything. Okay. So, Refugee Mother and Child, An If of History, Vultures, Answer, Remembrance Day. I forgot to say that. Remembrance Day. Then, Those Children Are Children. Awake for Okigbo. These are the important poems of Chinua Achebe. Other important poets of Africa, J.P. Clark is there, Christopher Okigbo, Gabriel Okara, Wole Soyinka. Everybody knows Wole Soyinka's telephone conversation, isn't it? It's a very satirical poem. Yes, the website of our books is bodhitreepublications.org. Okay, guys, that is Chinua Achebe. Did you get that, guys? Now, the next poet is Derek Walcott. Da-da-dang. Derek Walcott is a Nobel laureate and very important poet, isn't it? Not from Africa, from Caribbean islands. Derek Walcott, I have told you yesterday also, he wrote a lot of plays, poetry collections. He's from St. Lucia. He's from St. Lucia. Nagma, I'm fine, Nagma. Everything is fine with God's grace. God thought, let me make her okay very soon because she has to go and teach everybody to pass NET. So you're all going to pass NET with JRF. And all the new students are waiting. After you, they will also pass, isn't it? Because we are going to study deeply, thoroughly, isn't it? Yes, Shalini. Shalini is right. Omeros is his epic poem. Derek Walcott's epic poem, Omeros, O-M-E-R-O-S. That means of Homer. He is reimagining the Trojan War like a fight between Caribbean fishermen. He is reimagining the Iliad as a fight between Caribbean fishermen. Did you understand, guys? Jennifer? Right. So that is about Derek Walcott. He wrote plays. What are his important poems and collections? There are so many other than Homeros, Far Cry from Africa. The Sea is History. White Egrets is a famous collection. The Star Apple Kingdom, Sea Grapes, Mars Man, Adam's Song, all are prescribed. That is why I am saying the titles. Did you understand? They are all very famous poems that are prescribed. All these poems are post-colonial poems about post-colonial experiences, about multiculturalism, about home, about nostalgia, about the past and present coming together. So many important themes. Far Cry from Africa is about Mau Mau rebellion. Okay, so this is a very important post-colonial poet, Derek Walcott. If God allows me, I will bring out post-colonial literature encyclopedia also very soon. Would you like that? 90% of work is over actually. Okay, there are many other post-colonial poets. There is Cyril Daberdeen. Then in Africa, I told you J.P. Clark. In Canada, there is Margaret Atwood. In West Indies, there is Kamau Brathwaite. Whose picture is given here? It is Judith Wright, A.D. Hope. One by one, shall we look at these poets? Kamau Brathwaite wrote in nation language. That is the language of the Caribbean. It is not proper English. It is the dialect or pidgin called nation dialect. Kamau Brathwaite wrote poems like The Arrivants. That is a very important book, a New World trilogy. The Arrivants, a New World trilogy. Rites of Passage, another work. American Literature Encyclopedia is taking time because our chief designer got a little accident. Now he's okay. I'm so sorry we took time. Okay. Then Kamau Brathwaite wrote Middle Passage. His poetry has a unique style. His poetry is written in a very broken language, postmodern, post-colonial, fluid language. Will you remember? His poetry is written in a very fluid kind of language. That is Kamau Brathwaite. Shall I tell you about A.D. Hope? Derek Walcott, I forgot to tell you, Ruins of a Great House. The Muse of History. Those are very famous. Ruins of a Great House. The Muse of History, very famous. A.D. Hope, you know, is an Australian poet, very important poet. He wrote a poem called Australia. Don't you know that? A.D. Hope wrote a poem called Australia. Another prescribed poem in universities is The Return from the Freudian Isles by A.D. Hope. The Return from the Freudian Isles. Will you remember? He also wrote Imperial Adam. Imperial Adam is by A.D. Hope. Will you like the video, guys, if you have not liked it yet? Yes, you are right, Nia. A.D. Hope wrote Australia. Okay, then there is Judith Wright. Judith Wright, Chris Wallace Crabb. Did you know, guys, Judith Wright was an environmentalist. Judith Wright was an environmentalist. So these post-colonial poets are important. Then there is early American poets. Shall we go on to early American poets, guys? Among the early American poets, very important is Anne Bradstreet. Have you heard of Anne Bradstreet? Her picture is given here. What did Anne Bradstreet write? She wrote The 10th Muse lately sprung up in America. The 10th Muse lately sprung up in America. She also wrote the famous poem, The Author to Her Book. Are you writing what I'm saying? Early American poets. Edward Taylor, Michael Wigglesworth. They're not so important, but Anne Bradstreet is very important. Will you look this up, guys? The author to her book. I have explained all this in detail in the new encyclopedia. Yes, A.D. Hope wrote a reply to Marvel's Coy Mistress. Very good, very good. That is right. Answers, Book of Answers, he wrote. A.D. Hope wrote the Book of Answers. Now, the Transcendentalists. Who are the Transcendentalists? Emerson and Thoreau. Both of them were very important poets. Emerson's poems are Brahma. Brahma is an Indian theme, isn't it? Very important. Brahma is an Indian theme. Very important poem by Emerson. Emerson also wrote another Indian poem, Hamatreya. Hamatreya is an Indian poem. Then the Rodora, the Problem. These Indian poems are especially important. Do you know important poems by Thoreau, Henry David Thoreau? Epitaph on the World. Have you heard of that one? Epitaph on the World. Pray to what earth? And there is a poem called Walden. Our Thoreau wrote a book called Walden. He also wrote a poem called Walden. Will you remember, guys? So that is Transcendentalists. Shall I ask you some questions? Yes. Margaret Fuller and Emerson edited the Dial. Poe was an anti-transcendentalist. Tell me, guys, who wrote the essay Slavery in Massachusetts? Tell me, who wrote the essay Slavery in Massachusetts? It is by Sumas. Guess karo. Is it Emerson or Thoreau? Only two options. Emerson or Thoreau. Slavery in Massachusetts. Answer me, Zoomers, YouTubers. Yes, yes, all these writers are there in the encyclopedia. Yes, some of you got it right. It is Thoreau. Thoreau wrote Civil Disobedience, also Slavery in Massachusetts. Hamatreya is an Indian themed poem by Emerson. Who wrote Ulalume? Bolo, who wrote Ulalume? Zoomers are answering. YouTubers answer. It is Edgar Allan Poe. Ulalume is a poem by Edgar Allan Poe. Ulalume. Edgar Allan Poe, you should remember. Okay? Right. I will ask you questions in between. Next is Walt Whitman. Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass is his poetry book, isn't it? In which year did he bring out Leaves of Grass? In which year did he publish Leaves of Grass, Bolo? That is right. Walt Whitman published Leaves of Grass in 1855. YouTubers, Zoomers are saying the answer. YouTubers are also going to say the answer. Now, which day in 1855? Bolo, which day in 1855? It is their Independence Day. So July 4th, that is the day in which, Leaves of Grass was published. Now, important poems by Walt Whitman. I will tell you the beginning of the poem. You tell me the end of the poem. I mean, the title. Will you do that? I will tell you the beginning. You tell me the end. Zoomers, are you ready? Oh, previous students, new students, everybody? Okay. I sing the body. I sing the body. Bolo, bolo. Electra nahi. Lilacs nahi. I sing the body. Electric. Walt Whitman wrote, I sing the body electric. I heard America dash. Bolo. Title of Walt Whitman's poem. I heard America dash. Aha, Gauri said it, Rupsha said it. So many of you said it. That is right. I heard America singing. I heard America singing. Walt Whitman wrote, Prayer of dash. Bolo. Walt Whitman wrote, Prayer of dash. Prayer of. Is it Chaucer? Is it Columbus? Is it Erasmus? 3 options. Prayer of Chaucer, Prayer of Columbus, Prayer of Erasmus. Bolo, what is the answer? Yes, Walt Whitman wrote Prayer of Columbus. Will you forget now? Prayer of Columbus, Walt Whitman wrote. Okay, this you tell me. There was a child dash. Walt Whitman, these are prescribed poems, okay? There was a child dash. I am sure some of you are Google searching. There was a child went forth. There was a child went forth. It is prescribed, okay? It is prescribed in universities. There was a child went forth. Very good. Walt Whitman wrote a passage to dash. Is it India or England? Passage to dash. Passage to India. Walt Whitman wrote long lines of operatic singing. Will you remember, guys? Long lines like opera music he wrote. He did not write short lines. He wrote long lines. Okay, after Walt Whitman, Arey, Onam sale. Onam is related to boat race. Did you know that? In Kerala, we have boat race. In Kerala, we have this thing, floral decorations. In Kerala, we have feasting. In Kerala, we have Bodhi tree sale also. You guys can't take part in our feasting, but you can take part in our Onam sale if you want. Okay, right. Next is Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe, did you know, guys? He was an orphan from an early age. Oh, yo. He married his darling cousin, sweetheart cousin. And did you know what happened? She died. He married his sweetheart cousin, Virginia, but she died. She was only 14 years old. And Poe became very sad. Did you know that? Poe wrote detective stories and horror stories. He also wrote poetry. Everybody knows Edgar Allan Poe's poem, tell me, Zoomers, YouTubers, everybody knows Edgar Allan Poe's poem, complete the title, The Raven. The Bell is also there. He also wrote to Helen. He also wrote to Helen. To Science also. You are right. He also wrote to Science. Then Al-Araf, a palace. These are his poems. And he wrote Ulalume. Ulalume is about an Islamic angel. Ayo, did you know that? Ulalume is a no, Israfel. Israfel is the angel. Ulalume is not an angel. It is a Gothic poem. Sorry, guys. Israfel is the angel. He wrote the poem Israfel. He also wrote Ulalume. Yes, guys. He also wrote Annabel Lee. He also wrote Annabel Lee. Good. El Dorado. The sleeper also, eh? Oh, I didn't know that. He wrote The Sleeper also, it seems. Good. I am always learning from my students. When you say something I don't know, I immediately take down. When I say something you don't know, you should also take down. Okay? And his short stories are called Tales of the Grotesque and the Arabesque. Tales of the Grotesque and the Arabesque. Did you know that, guys? About writing The Raven, what did Edgar Allan Poe write? He wrote The Philosophy of Composition. The Philosophy of Composition is an essay that he wrote. He also wrote The Poetic Principle. Edgar Allan Poe also wrote The Poetic Principle. Will you remember? Yes, Snehal is reminding us. He also wrote Lenore. He also wrote Lenore, the poem. That is also important. Will you remember, everybody? Okay. Next writer is Emily Dickinson. She is our favorite, isn't it? She wrote so many poems. I'm sure all of you know many of her poems. She was little known during her lifetime, but after that, oh, she wrote, she became very famous. She was called Nun of Amherst. Vanita Tamilarasi is telling us in Sleeper, he talks to a girlfriend who is buried in the graveyard. Oh, that is so sad, isn't it? Tell all of you, tell me, Zoomers and YouTubers, tell me as many Emily Dickinson poems that you know. As many Emily Dickinson poems as you know. Tell me. Let us see who will win, Zoomers or YouTubers. I heard a fly bus. I cannot live with you. Oh, I cannot live with you. I didn't know that one. Then my life closed twice before its close. Okay. My life, I felt a funeral in my brain. A bird came down the walk. I measure every grief I met. I didn't know that is important. Because I could not stop for death. I am nobody. Who are you? Success is counted sweetest. Hope is a thing with feathers. So many you are telling me. Oh, okay. Then I taste a liquor. Then safe in their alabaster chambers, there is a certain slant of light. Nature is what we see. I like to see it. Oh. When I ask you like this, death be not proud is not Emily Dickinson. Wrong, Sarvat. Wild nights. Oh, when I ask you like this, I will get to know poems that are prescribed across the country. There is pain so utter. I didn't know that one. I will look up all this and study. Death be not proud is by done. Death be not proud is by done. My life had stood a loaded gun. Nature is what we see. Before I got my eye put out, so many important poems are there by Emily Dickinson. Many of you told me correctly. Her titles, poems did not have titles. Then she used dashes. Summer shower, Summer shower. Okay. I will add all this. Tell the truth, but tell its land. Correct. That is important. Okay. Did you enjoy that? Next, we will talk about imagism. Who are the imagist poets? Bolo, bolo. Somebody was laughing. This Kalyani ma'am always says, bolo, bolo. Yes, she wrote 1,000 above poems. This is my letter to the world. I didn't know that one. Who are the images? There are so many images, so many poems also. This is Ezra Pound, isn't it? Ezra Pound. There is Gertrude Stein, who inspired the images. There is Amy Lovell. There is Hilda Doolittle. There is Richard Aldington, T.E. Hume. Shall I ask you some questions, guys? Will you answer me? Tell me, who wrote Susie Asado? Who wrote Susie Asado? It is by Gertrude Stein. Susie Asado, Daughter, America. These are poems by Gertrude Stein that are prescribed. Okay. Tell me who wrote Autumn. Tell me who wrote Autumn. Manju Sharma is saying the answer. Autumn is by T.E. Hume. The poet T. Hume. He's taking a walk at night in autumn. Will you remember, guys? Who wrote Venus Transience? This poet also wrote The Pike. Venus Transience. Tender Buttons also by Gertrude Stein. That is correct. Tender Buttons also by Gertrude Stein. Bolo, Venus Transience and The Pike are by Amy Lovell. Amy Lovell. What is imagism? Vishal Singh is asking. Imagism is when there is no description in poetry, only one image is presented. Clarity of expression through precise visual images. Isn't it? An image is that which presents an intellectual and emotional complex in an instant of time. An intellectual and emotional complex in an instant of time. That is image. Will you remember, guys, which was the first imagist anthology of poems? Which was the first imagist anthology? Des Images Thus. Des Images Thus. And what did T.E. Hume write? Sorry, Ezra Pound write? He wrote Repose Thus, Cantos, in a station of the metro. Remember, guys, yesterday in our rapid fire, it was there, in a station of the metro. Remember, guys? Are you feeling tired and bored? Is it okay? Are you enjoying? What was that poem, In a Station of the Metro? The apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bough. Remember? The apparition of these, that is the entire poem. The apparition of these faces in the crowd. These faces are like petals on a wet black bough. Remember? Ezra Pound wrote Hugh Selwyn Moberly. So many important poets and poems are there. I have listed all that in the encyclopedia that is coming up. E. Cummings was also an imagist. He wrote typographical poems. You know, his poems appear like patterns, pattern poems, isn't it? E. Cummings's poems are also often prescribed. Will you remember, guys? Okay. Now, after imagism, what do we have? Ta-da-dang! Other modernist poets. Tell me other modernist poets' names. Array, Cruz Martin is already saying. What are the names of the other modernist Zoomers? Bolo, Zoomers. Who are the other modernist poets? George Herbert also wrote, yes. Other modernist poets, William Carlos Williams, Wallace Stevens, okay, T.S. Eliot. We are talking about American modernists, not British. American modernists. William Carlos Williams, then Wallace Stevens, Marianne Moore, Robert Frost. Hannah, shall I ask you some questions? Do you know who wrote The Man with the Blue Guitar? The poem Man with the Blue Guitar. Who is the author? It is William Carlos Williams. William Carlos Williams wrote Man with the Blue Guitar. No, sorry, it is Wallace Stevens. Not William Carlos Williams. It is Wallace Stevens, isn't it? Wallace Stevens. I made a mistake. Wallace Stevens' most famous collection of poems is, what is it? Wallace Stevens' most famous collection of poems. What is it? Most famous collection of poems by Wallace Stevens. It is Harmonium. Harmonium. Who wrote The Gift Outright? Who wrote The Gift Outright? You know that, don't you? Zoomers. The Gift Outright. It is famous poem by Robert Frost. He recited this poem at the inauguration of John F. Kennedy. Robert Frost. That is right. And tell me this one. Tell me this one. Who wrote Anecdote of a Jar? Anecdote of the Jar, actually. Anecdote of the Jar. It is also Wallace Stevens. Who wrote The Bridge, which is addressed to Brooklyn Bridge? Who is the author of The Bridge, addressed to Brooklyn Bridge? Zoomers are saying it is Hart Crane. Hart Crane wrote The Bridge. Did you get that, guys? You have to look up other early modernist poets, okay? From America. Next is African-American poets. Are you ready for that? There were early African-American poets in Harlem Renaissance period, such as Claude McKay, Langston Hughes. They were early African-American poets. And after that, later, there was Maya Angelou, Gwendolyn Brooks, Rita Dove, Nikki Giovanni. They might ask you about these writers. Will you read up? What did, which movement did Claude McKay and Langston Hughes belong to? Langston Hughes and Claude McKay belong to Harlem Renaissance. The Negro Artist and the Racial Mountain is by Langston Hughes. Did you know that? The Negro Artist and the Racial Mountain is by Langston Hughes. Then Langston Hughes also wrote I Too Sing America. He wrote a poem called Harlem. That is right. He wrote a poem called Harlem. He wrote the Weary Blues. The Negro Speaks of Rivers. Are you taking down all the extra information, guys? I hope you are taking down everything. There were many poets like County Cullen. County Cullen wrote The Black Christ. Did you know that one? County Cullen wrote The Black Christ. Claude McKay also wrote novels as well as poetry. Claude McKay wrote America, The Harlem Dancer. Many poems are there by Claude McKay. Hello, Raven. Did you know, guys, Raven Sid Haloli, who is answering, is one of the major contributors in our American encyclopedia. He has so many, all these encyclopedias are written partly by students. When Raven was a student here, he contributed many slides. So I am so happy Raven's name is there in encyclopedia. Now, guys, tell me the names of poems by Maya Angelou. What are the poems by Maya Angelou? In the picture, it is Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou is whom you see in the picture. Yes, guys, Maya Angelou wrote Phenomenal Woman, Still I Rise. Famous, isn't it? Phenomenal Woman and Still I Rise. Famous poems by Maya Angelou. Will you look up, guys? Nikki Giovanni, Gloria Naylor, Rita Dove, then Gwendolyn Brooks. Yes, Maya Angelou wrote many autobiographies. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Correct. Correct. You should look up African American writers. There will be a question based on it. These days, we are posting stories again. Storytelling again I am doing. Are you watching those videos, guys? Did you watch King Lear? Did you watch other stories? Othello? Okay. Now, ta-da-dang, poets of Indian independence period. Who are the poets of Indian independence period? Of course, there is Rabindranath Tagore. There is Sarojini Naidu. Who are the other poets of the Indian independence period? Okay, you are telling me many poems of Maya Angelou. Touched by an Angel. I will add this. Mother, a cradle to hold me. Okay. These are prescribed, I suppose. I did not know what are prescribed. Black women. Then woman work. Oh, you guys are giving me lots of new names that I didn't know. I will read up and study all this. Thank you so much, guys. You are giving me lots of information about your syllabi. Thank you so much, guys. Okay. Then tell me more. Zoomers are typing away. Let me see what they have written. So many poets. Oh, you did, Ambika. Oh, yes, yes. Michael Madhusudan Dutt, Manmohan Ghosh, very good. Aurobindo Ghosh. They're all the pre-independence poets. You are right. Rabindranath Tagore also. So many pre-independence poets are there that they could ask about. What about the post-independence poets? There are so many. You got to tell me, Zoomers and YouTubers, post-independence poets. Bolo? Yes, A.K. Ramanujan, Jayanta Mahapatra, Nissim Ezekiel, then Kamala Das, then Mahashweta Devi, Toru Dutt, okay, R. Parthasarathi, Arun Kolatkar, Pritish Nandi, Shiv K. Kumar, Keki and Daruwala. So many are there. We will talk about them when we talk about Indian literature also, English in India also. Vikram Seth, Geev Patel, Adil Jussawala. Very good. Dom Moraes. Wow. Shashi Deshpande did not write poetry, did she? Dilip Chitre, you are all such scholars. Wonderful. Their poems, we have to look up. We need to know. They could be very important. Okay. So, did you enjoy today's lecture? There are still 10 more minutes to go. Shall I ask you some questions? Who said a rose is a rose is a rose? Who said a rose is a rose is a rose? Agha Shahid Ali also. Geeta Mehta also, correct. It is Gertrude Stein. Yes. There is one group I missed out, I did not mention. In that group, somebody wrote life studies. What is that group of poets? One group of poets I did not mention. They wrote, one of them wrote life studies. Yes, confessional poets. Life studies. It is by Robert Lovell. You are right, Ambika. Brahmin poets and fireside poets are also there. H.W. Longfellow, correct. Life studies is by Robert Lovell. Who are the other confessional poets, Bolo? Other confessional poets, Adrian Rich, Sylvia Plath, and Sexton. Very good. Another group I did not mention is there. Another group I did not mention. One of the poets wrote a line. I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness. Which is that group? One group of poets I did not mention. A poet wrote, I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness. No, it is not lost generation. It is beat poets. This is the opening line of Allen Ginsberg's Howl. Allen Ginsberg's Howl. I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving, hysterical, naked. That is the opening line of Howl by Allen Ginsberg. Will you remember that? Yes. Now, there are a lot of post-war, postmodern poets also in America, I suppose. And there are many other African-American poets also, I'm sure, who wrote Kitchenette Building, which is a famous poem. Kitchenette Building. Tell me. I think they have asked about it in Poetry Appreciation once. Who wrote Kitchenette Building? It is Gwendolyn Brooks. Gwendolyn Brooks, the African-American writer. Will you remember, guys? Gwendolyn Brooks wrote Kitchenette Building. Okay. Then Who wrote, what was it? Call Me Ishmael. Who wrote the poem? Call Me Ishmael. It is not Herman Melville. It is Agha Shahid Ali. Very good. It is Agha Shahid Ali who wrote Call Me Ishmael. Then, who wrote I'm going to ask you one question. Important question. Pity this busy monster, man unkind. Bolo. Who wrote Pity this busy monster, man unkind? It is E. Cummings. It is E. Cummings. Will you remember? E. Cummings. It is prescribed in universities. Okay, guys. Now I think it is time for our rapid fire. Are you looking forward to rapid fire? Reshma, are you there? It's time for rapid fire. Maybe I have to make Reshma host. Guys, those who want a small break, quickly take a break because we are going to start now. Reshma, unmute yourself.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, Reshma.
Hello, everyone. Happy Onam.
Happy Onam to you too. From all of us. Reshma, they're all taking a sip of water, going to washroom, eating something, feeding their children. Reshma, tell me, Reshma.
Yes.
You studied engineering and then came to study English literature. And Reshma,
Yes, ma'am.
how was your experience studying English literature, especially with the encyclopedia?
Actually, ma'am, as an engineering student, I was clueless about literature. Even though I had a great passion for it, I didn't actually know it was this vast, even the British literature. And encyclopedia is the best thing to start with because it has the history, it has the background, and it has the author. So I didn't know which author belonged to which era, which year.
Reshma's connection is a little problem. Reshma is saying the encyclopedia was amazing. She didn't know which author belonged to which period. Being an engineer, she was clueless, but somehow she managed. That is what she's saying. Very good. Guys, yesterday I had told you, I will ask you the definition of villanelle. Reshma, 1 minute, Reshma. Guys, tell me what is villanelle? That is important. What is villanelle? How many lines does a villanelle have? Zoomers? 19 lines. Correct. And some lines are repeated also. Some lines are repeated. Reshma, your audio has serious problem, Reshma.
Now is it okay, ma'am? I changed my net.
Okay. Maybe slightly better. Not that clear, but there's a lot of disturbance.
Okay, ma'am. 1 second.
19 lines. Very good. Very good. So, guys, if you have started after another subject, doing another subject for undergraduation, and then come to English, you don't have to worry. You will always be able to begin everything, and you are only enriched by your other learning. If you have studied science or something else, you will only be enriched by your learning when you study English. You will be an even better student. That is what will happen. Don't worry, okay? Don't feel inferior. Don't feel nervous. You will have an amazing career. Only for a couple of years or so, you have to really focus on studying, passing exams, doing your PhD and things like that. After that, everything will be awesome. Okay, is my audio clear, everyone? No problem. What you want is what is most important. We'll see if Reshma's network works well. Fine.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me now?
Yes, this is about post-colonial poetry first. Reshma, let us read the first question.
Yes, ma'am. Question. Who among the following wrote a poem called A Mother in a Refugee Camp, showing the devastation of what is possibly the Biafran War? Options: Wole Soyinka, Christopher Okigbo, Chinua Achebe. I hope you can hear me correctly.
Yeah, we can. Now it is clear. Good.
Yes.
What is the answer, guys?
So many Zoomers are answering.
Yes. Zoomers said the answer. YouTubers are also saying the answer. What is the answer, Reshma?
The answer is Chinua Achebe. Yes.
That is right. The answer is Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe's poems, remember, are very important. Mother in a Refugee Camp is often prescribed in universities. Next question.
Yes. Next question. Who wrote the humorous poem To My First White Hairs, which expresses a wish that these white and black hairs together may unite and give meaning to his existence? Who wrote it? Is it Chinua Achebe or Wole Soyinka or Gabriel Okara?
Which of these writers wrote a humorous poem? You know, this writer wrote another humorous poem. Asking a white woman, would you like to see my bottom? It is raven black, he says. What is the answer, Reshma?
Yes, the answer is Wole Soyinka.
Wole Soyinka wrote To My First White Hairs. You know, he's addressing his white hairs as he grows older. Next question.
Yes. Question. Which of the following is not a poem by Derek Walcott? If you have listened to ma'am's lecture, you would know it. Options A, Vultures, B, Hawk, or is it C, Adam's Song? Not a poem by Derek Walcott.
Derek Walcott is a St. Lucian poet from West Indies, remember? Vultures, Hawk, Adam's Song. One of these is by Chinua Achebe. Which is that? Reshma?
Yes, the answer is Vultures. Also, ma'am, we have given this poem as poetry appreciation in one of our free mock tests in Vallath's test.
Great. Guys, I hope you're all attending the free mock test in Vallath's test public group. Those who are in paid course, those who are in YouTube, all of you, please attend the free mock test in Vallath's test public group. along with all that you are doing in your own group. Okay? It is important. Next.
Next question. Who wrote the poem Clock and Heart, which opens with the line, "The trap of time surprised my heart"? Is it Les Murray? Is it Jack Davis? Or is it Judith Wright?
Now we are talking about Australian writers. Clock and Heart. Remember, even the native Australians, native Canadians are important. The answer is?
The answer is Judith Wright.
Guys, many times they have asked about Judith Wright. Judith Wright's poems are prescribed in universities. Make sure that you look up Judith Wright. A.D. Hope also they have asked. Next question.
Yes, ma'am. Which book of poems by Margaret Atwood concerns a pair of Siamese twins as a metaphor for Canada? Is it The Circle Game? Is it Double Persephone? Or is it Two-Headed Poems?
Ayyo, Reshma, you have confused them. Siamese twins, can it be double Persephone or two-headed poems? Both look like the correct answer.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
answer is
It is Two-Headed Poems.
two-headed poems. Some people in YouTube are saying they are unable to join Vallath's Test public group. We have 10,000 members there and every day people are joining. If you try again and again, you should be able to get the link. Otherwise, will you please contact our office? We can add you. Okay, guys? You have to join Vallath's Test public group because there is a lot of free material there. Every day we are sharing lots of things for free only. Okay, next question.
Yes, ma'am. Now, The Wandering Islands consists of 39 poems. It is the first poetry collection by who? Is it George Lamming? Is it Anthony Kellman? Or is it A.D. Hope? The
The
Wandering
Wandering Islands. Yes, very important poet. This poet often they ask in net. The answer is?
The answer is A.D. Hope.
Alec, Derwent, Hope. They have already asked this question before. They will again ask about A.D. Hope. Make sure you know it. Because A.D. Hope is important. Yes, George Lamming is also important, by the way. Next question is on American poetry.
Now, a quote. The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air between the heaves of storm. These are lines from Because I Could Not Stop for Death, or I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died, or Safe in Their Alabaster Chambers.
The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air. She is going to die. And in that point of death, she hears stillness. It is like the two heaves of storm. Life is a storm. Death is also a storm. So what is the answer? The answer is?
I heard a fly buzz when I died.
She is presenting the moment of her death. And nothing really happened at that time. She just heard a fly buzz. That is what she is saying. Death is not a grand warrior or anything. Death is just like another phase of life. That is the meaning. Emily Dickinson. Next question, Reshma.
Yes, ma'am. The Red Wheelbarrow by American modernist poet William Carlos Williams is an example of, is it romanticism, is it transcendentalism, or is it images? Easy one.
You know
Yes.
that one, everybody. Zoomers are trying to break Zoom with their answers. Zoom will explode if you answer like this. The answer is
Imagism.
The Red Wheelbarrow is a classic imagist poem. Did you know, guys, during my BA years, I came across this poem in a book. I liked this poem very much. And I thought it is only one little part of the poem. And I searched the whole library for days trying to find the rest of the poem. There was no internet at that time. I searched the book after book after book, trying to find out the rest of the poem. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. Poem is over. That is imagism. Next question.
Yes, ma'am. Now tell me, who wrote the poem Song of the Open Road that has 15 sections, each with 3 to 4 stanzas? Options: Langston Hughes, Walt Whitman, or C. E. Cummings.
What is the answer? Song of the Open Road. One poet is traveling in the open road. And life is like a journey. Ta-da-dang. The answer is?
Answer is Walt Whitman.
That's right. 1 minute, guys. The answer is Walt Whitman. Okay, next question.
Now tell me, who does the narrator meet in the poem A Supermarket, California by Allen Ginsberg? Is it
a supermarket in California, actually?
Okay, ma'am.
Ah.
Sorry for that. Supermarket in California by Allen Ginsberg. Is it Jack Kerouac? Is it Walt Whitman? Or is it W.B. Yeats? Whom does the narrator meet?
It cannot be Walt Whitman. You put it just to confuse us, isn't it, Reshma? It has to be Jack Kerouac.
Yes.
Hey, what is the answer? Whom does the narrator meet? Again, Walt Whitman.
It was Walt Whitman.
In Allen Ginsberg's poem, A Supermarket in California, the poet is meeting Walt Whitman. Wow. Would you write a poem like that as well? You are meeting Walt Whitman. You are meeting Robert Frost. Wow. Like that we can also write.
And we'll write about meeting Kalyani, ma'am.
I am not such a great person. Next question.
Yes, ma'am. Which poem by Robert Frost is a conversation in a single evening between a farmer named Warren and his wife Mary about what to do with an ex-employee named Silas? It is a conversation. Options: After Apple Picking, The Death of the Hired Man, or Mountain Interval.
I will give you a clue, guys. They are talking about an ex-employee. That means ex-hired man. Ta-da-dang. It is an ex-hired man, guys. Say the correct answer. It is?
Yes, it is The Death of the Hired Man.
Death of the Hired Man. Beginners, advanced people, everybody, are you listening? Are you enjoying? Tell me if you're enjoying. Thank you. Okay, next question.
Yes, ma'am. Now tell us, which of the following poems by Langston Hughes is a critic of the American dream? Options A, I Too, option B, Harlem, or option C, Let America Be America Again.
What is the answer? Yes.
It is Let America Be America Again.
Langston Hughes was one famous, important writer, guys. So many brilliant poems. Next question.
Yes. Which among the following is the book of poetry that made Gwendolyn Elizabeth Brooks the first African American to receive a Pulitzer Prize? Which book of poetry? Is it Annie Ellen, or is it Maud Martha, or is it the Bean Eaters?
Okay, if you don't know, just click A option. You might be right. Ta-da-da! I told you.
It is Annie Ellen.
Annie Allen. For that, she won. Wow, Pulitzer Prize. Gwendolyn Brooks became the first African American to get Pulitzer Prize, African American woman to get Pulitzer Prize.
Next
Reshma?
question. Yes, ma'am. Which poem by Maya Angelou shares its title with a play she wrote in 1976 and refers to the indomitable spirit of Black people, using repetition and the categorizations of injustices against them? She wrote a play as well with the same name. So is it And Still I Rise? Is it Primer for Blacks, or is it Family Pictures?
Maya Angelou's very famous poem, which is the same title of a play also, showing the indomitable spirit of the Black people. Answer is?
And Still I Rise.
Wow, I didn't know that's a play as well. Guys, it is not enough to just answer. You have to read extra tonight or tomorrow morning about these writers. Promise me you will. Next question. What is the next question? Tell me.
Yes. Which
Reshma?
among the... Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Which among the following statements is not true about the poet Phyllis Wheatley? So, she was the first African-American author of a published book of poetry. Her On Being Brought from Africa to America is a poem on slavery. An African Elegy is her last book of poetry, which is not true about
Ayyo.
Wheatley.
What is this, Reshma? Guys, this is very realistic. In the exam also, there will be questions like this about which you don't know one thing, but don't worry, just write something, it'll be right. In the exam, every single question will not be familiar. No problem. Here, which of the following statements is not true? Dekho?
It is An African Elegy is her last book of poetry.
That is not true, it seems. Okay, we accept. We will read about Phyllis Wheatley tomorrow morning itself. Okay? Next.
Yes. Now, again, a question on Langston Hughes. Which poem by Langston Hughes, which is also known as A Dream Deferred, was published in 1951 in his montage of A Dream Deferred? Is it Harlem? Is it The Negro Speaks of Rivers? Is it Mother to Son?
A Dream Deferred is also called something else. Ta-da-dang! It is the poem
Harlem.
Wow. And Lorraine Hansberry took the title of her play from this poem. Yes. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Famous lines. Then, Indian poetry. Are you ready, guys? First question.
Yes. Which poem by Kamala Das explores the loss of happy and peaceful days of her childhood, which she spent in the loving and caring company of her grandmother? Option: A Summer in Calcutta. Option B: A Hot Noon in Malabar. Option C: An Introduction.
Which of these is about her happy days of childhood, which she spent in the caring company of her grandmother? Ta-da-dang, they know it. Are, that is wrong.
Yes, ma'am. It is A Summer in Calcutta.
No problem.
I think.
No problem.
Sorry, ma'am.
Summer in Calcutta. Guys, I don't think there is a summer in Calcutta only, I think. Guys, this is very realistic because in the exam also there will be mistakes in questions. So we wanted you to remember that. Okay, guys? Did you like our realistic technique, guys? Okay.
Now, next question. Which of the following is not a collection of poetry by Nissim? Is it Latter-day Psalms? Sorry. Is it Hymns in Darkness? Is it Second Sight? It is not a collection of poetry.
Latter-day Psalm. Something like that, one award, isn't it? Hymns in Darkness is by Ezekiel. Second Sight. Or is it difficult? I'm sure these guys know it. Only I'm confused. Let us look at the answer. Ta-da-dang!
It is Second Sight.
Is it by A.K. Ramanujan?
Not sure, ma'am.
I think it is. Okay. Next question.
Next question. Which among the following is not true about the poem Jejuri? It is a series of poems by Jayanta Mahapatra. It consists of 31 poetic sequences. It depicts poet's secular visit to Jejuri. Which is not true about Jejuri?
Series of poems by Jayanta Mahapatra. No way. It consists of 31 poetic sequences, maybe. It depicts poet's secular visit to Jejuri. Correct. Yes, everybody knows it is Arun Kolatkar.
Yes, ma'am. It is a series of poems by Jayanta Mahapatra. It's wrong. It is by Arun.
Arun Kolatkar. Ta-da-dang.
Now, which Indian poet belongs to the Green Movement and is known for his poem on killing a tree? Is it P. Lal? Is it Giv Patel? Or is it R. Parthasarathi?
On killing a tree, he is saying his mother is having a headache because of a champak tree. The tree should be killed and destroyed, and the tree is treated like an enemy in a very ironic way. Who is the writer? It is
Giv Patel.
Giv Patel. Oh, we have come to the end of this session.
Yes, ma'am.
And I hope you enjoyed this session. Will you remember and read extra, everyone? Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow, we will have an explosive session on fiction. Until then, happy reading. Bye-bye. Happy Onam once again. Thank you, Zoomers. Thank you, YouTubers. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Thank you, Reshma.
Thank you.
Bye.